Primal Teachings 2. The second part of the Primal Teachings. Among Finda's folk, there are witty men who, by their over-inventiveness, have become so corrupted that they convince themselves and their initiates that they are the best part of Ralda, that their mind is the best part of Ralda's spirit, and that Ralda can only think through the help of their brains. The notion that every creature is part of Ralda's infinite being, this they have acquired from us. But their false reasoning and unrestrained pride have caused them to stray from the righteous path. If their mind was like Ralda's spirit, then Ralda would be very stupid, instead of being sensible and wise. For their mind is constantly occupied with making appealing images, which they afterwards worship. Rather, Finda's folk are a bad folk, for although their pseudo-wise men convince themselves that they are divine, they have created false divinities for the uninitiated, everywhere proclaiming that these divinities have created the world with all that is therein. Greedy divinities, full of envy and wrath, who want to be honored and served by our people, who want blood and sacrifice and demand rich offerings. But these vain, false men who allow themselves to be called God's servants or priests claim and collect and receive everything on behalf of the divinities that do not exist, to keep it for themselves. They do this with an easy conscience, as they imagine themselves divine and answer to no one. If there are any who see through their tricks and try to expose them, these are caught by their henchmen and burnt for their heresy, always with solemn ceremonies in honor of their false divinities. But in truth, it is only to protect the priesthood. In order that our children may be armed against their idolatrous doctrine, the duty of the maidens is to make them learn by heart the following. Ralda existed before all things, and after all things he shall endure. Ralda is eternal, and he is infinite. Therefore, nothing exists outside of him. From Ralda's life sprang time and all things, and his life takes time and all things away. These facts must be made clear and manifest to all who are wise, so that they can explain and demonstrate it to others. Once that has been understood, say further. Regarding our physical dimension, we are part of Ralda's infinite being, as is the physical dimension of all that was created. Yet regarding our appearance, our characteristics, our mind, and all our thoughts, these do not belong to the being. All these are fleeting phenomena that appear through Ralda's life, which appear as they are through his wisdom and not otherwise. But because his life is perpetually progressing, nothing can remain stationary. Therefore, all creatures change in their position, their appearance, as well as their minds. Therefore, neither Earth herself nor any creature may ever say, I am, but rather, I was. Likewise, no man may ever say, I think, but only, I thought. The youth is larger and different than when he was a child. He has other desires, passions, and ways of thinking. The man and father is and thinks differently from when he was a youth. The same applies to the elderly. Everyone knows this. Since everyone thus knows and must acknowledge that one is continuously changing, one must also acknowledge that one changes every instant. Also, whilst one says, I am, and that one's thoughts change whilst one says, I think. Thus, instead of unworthily imitating the bad Findas and saying, I am, or even, I am the best part of Ralda, yea, through us alone can he think, we proclaim the following always and everywhere when it is necessary. We, Freya's children, are emergences through Ralda's life, in the beginning mean and bare, but always becoming and advancing toward perfection, without ever becoming as good as Ralda himself. Our mind is not Ralda's spirit. It is merely a semblance of it. When Ralda created us, he lent us, through his wisdom, a brain, senses, memory, and many good qualities. By means of these, we can consider his creations and his primordial Ewa. From these, we can learn, and about them we can speak, all and only for our own benefit. If Ralda had not given us any senses, we would know nothing, and we would be yet more helpless than a jellyfish that is driven forth by the ebb and flow.